Hello and welcome to Our Waking Dream. I'm your host, Coco Swanson. I'm a spiritual strategist and mentor and forever seeker. In this podcast, I bring one basic astrology theme that's moving through the week or the season or the year, definitely through the week. And I explain it in a way ideally that's very beginner friendly. Astrology is a whole language. It's a living language of metaphor. Metaphor is the language of the soul, which is a very important piece right now during this juncture in time. September 21st, 2025 is our second autumn eclipse. This eclipse is a blue moon. Just once in a very blue moon, just once in a very blue moon. So once in a blue moon, why is it just once every once in a while? A blue moon is when we have a second new moon. In this case, this is our second new moon in Virgo. This year, we usually have one new moon in each sign. A new moon creates that day creates a signature of the next month. So a new moon, if we have two new moons in a sign, especially if that sign is a south node, which it is right now, then it merits extra attention. So anywho, welcome. I'm glad you're here. This show's made for you. It's made for you, meaning whoever you are, if you're listening to this, I'm making this for you, and I want to make sure I'm teaching and explaining things in a way that's easy for you to understand. And so please always comment. We comment on YouTube, or you can just contact me via the channels, my website, because this authentically is for you. And I've spent my whole the last 3 decades immersed in these fields of remembering these really ancient ways of perceiving the world, perceiving what it's like to be human. I'm fascinated by contemplative and wisdom practices. Astrology provides a map to point out where we can wisely point our practices, direct our practices, and direct our awareness to move with the flow and to quantum level up in especially eclipse season. Because that's what eclipses are really about. Eclipses are known to affect, if you think of eclipse, first off, like when you push a reset button, and how when we reset, we actually can really reset if we change our hardwiring, which I personally want to change my hardwiring that's kind of junky, the hardwiring that maybe continually brings suffering into my life, themes that are karmic loops that I might be cycling through, and without perspective, I might not know it. This is the time for that, because in this final eclipse, we had two eclipses, the full moon eclipse, and that was just a couple weeks ago. And we have this new moon partial eclipse. The full moon eclipse was on the Pisces side of the zodiac. This new moon eclipse is on the opposite, and that's the Virgo side. Eclipses come when the moon and the sun are close to the nodes of the moon. If the astrology stuff is new, let it just wash over you. Each week, it's like a little lesson, but you have no pressure to remember everything, because you can always press play again, or you can just listen to another episode, because I'll be talking about this every week. So no pressure in learning astrology. That said, know that this is an important moment in time to level up the vector of your destiny. What? The nodes of the moon, for me, are options, are opportunities. If I really follow the instructions that are implicit in the metaphor of the moon, of the nodes, if I really go with the flow, and I'll suggest how to do this with this one, of course, that's what I'm here to do. But if I go with the flow and really practice what's indicated in the moon by the nodes of the moon during the eclipse season, then I have my hands in this sort of funny position for those of you who can't see it, but it's, for me, the difference between our fate, what's fated. That's like, to me, is what's fated is who I am within my wounds, within my karmic patterns, and within my lineage patterns. My destiny, the vector of my destiny, changes the landing point on my timelines, where I'm going as a soul, where I'm going as a person, changes the more inner work I do, the more awareness I bring into my old sort of karmic wounds, the patterns that I keep repeating, and also the patterns that my family or my culture might keep repeating that cause more wounding rather than healing, transformation, and change in the areas that are ripe for change. Fate, one line, the more inner work I do, the more inner work I do, the more alignment, my trajectory shifts and I end up in a very different timeline than I would have imagined when I was a child. Does that resonate? Let me know if that resonates. So fate, destiny, this time when the north node is in Pisces and the south node is in Virgo, on a new moon, blue moon, the second new moon in Virgo in 2025. It's like, flash, 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 pay attention to all things Virgo and Pisces. And Pisces and Virgo are opposites. However, they have commonality in the sense that they really are pure-hearted. It's a really loving, in their strength, a loving dedication to the embodiment of spirit, of divinity. Embodiment, Virgo, divinity is Pisces. And this is an oversimplification, but sometimes simplification helps for me when I'm learning. You too? Okay, so might have some wind in the background. I'm still filming these outside, which, considering we are on September 21st, I will probably need to shift this because seasonally, happy equinox, it's autumn equinox, we're shifting seasons. So this new moon today is the beginning of not just this month, but it's the beginning of this season. And so it's a really gorgeous chance to look at what's changed just even in the last month since your last Virgo new moon. Last month. What's changed in how you're tending? That's Virgo. What you're tending, how you're caring for who and what you value, and what's going on in your spiritual landscape. That's the Pisces side. Spiritual landscape, physical landscape. Okay, let me just look down at my notes. Yep, so we had this first new moon, August 22nd, 23rd, at 0 degrees of Virgo. And this last new moon today, the last final degree of Virgo. So both of those, the beginning and the end of a sign, are really important parts. So the first practice I suggest this week is to take inventory. Oftentimes, my first practice I suggest has something to do with building your internal witness, because if we don't have an accurate witness internally, then it's hard to indicate what practices to do. So in this inventory, what soul patterns have been showing up lately? So let's distill how we find a soul pattern. If you think of a language of our soul is metaphor. Metaphor are like the stories that we keep repeating. What metaphor, what stories, what themes keep repeating in your life? And how is that changing right now? A way that I can get an accurate hit on that for myself is I ask a trusted adult in my life, or child, actually, it doesn't matter. Kids can point this out easily too. I ask them, what themes do you see repeating? And what have you noticed change within me and those themes? Because it's about how I respond to these themes that allows for them to either repeat or shift and change. Number one practical tool right now on autumn equinox and the second new moon in Virgo, it's a big deal, is what repetitive themes of suffering have been moving through your life? How are you navigating through them differently? And how are they changing? How are your themes changing? This one, journal. You write the themes. Also talk to people about the themes to see if it feels as though you're getting an accurate hit on how you're moving. Because sometimes I find it can be challenging for me to get an accurate read on me because I'm in my experience. It's easier to get a read on something external. So I rely on my trusted guides and friends and other wise ones. This is the piece, is that who's wise in your life? How can we tell if someone's wise? Another piece, though, is you can share this podcast, this show, because then you can start to create dialogue, because we build wisdom through observation and through time. Practice number 2 I suggest during this week is this meditation. It's meditation that I made for this season. I published it last week and sent it out with the newsletter. And I'm going to send it out again because this is quite an important piece. So it's imagining scenes of suffering in your life or in the world. Because we really want to see where suffering or this is themes of suffering. That's soul's themes. That's a Pisces theme. Soul's themes are you releasing? And a practical tool to use to release them is this. If I imagine a scene that makes me feel gross, I imagine that I can take that scene and I can either have it in my body or I can take it out of my body, but I put it in a little bubble. Have you all ever seen those snow globes? They're these glass cylinders that have like scenes in them, and you shake it and the snow goes from the bottom. It's fake snow and it moves through the fake water, making snow in this scene. Well, I see the scenes of my life as little bubbles, in little bubbles. I do this with clients too. For some reason, it's what's landed. Well, what's fun about scenes is if you think of a filter. So bear with me, if I think of a scene and then I really feel the feelings about it, it's something that doesn't feel right. Because I'm looking for themes that are ready to die, that are ready to go back to the formless. I think of the scene, I imagine it in a little snow globe, and then I feel where it's at in my body. And I imagine that I have the ability to change the lens or the focus from the people, the scene, everything into just energy, just light, as if like the focus totally went away. And instead it's just light, undifferentiated light that happens to be quite beautiful because light in all of its colors is beautiful. So it's the release of my perception back to source. That I made into a meditation. I'm making meditations for y'all. They come out in my newsletters. And it's when I really feel like you could use a little hand holding in the practice that we're talking about. Again, that meditation's in my newsletter. You can sign up for my newsletter in the links below if you're not already on it. Practice number 3 is Virgo. So we need to be both in the Piscean realms, and in this case, it's really letting go honoring, releasing, shifting out of holding a strict perception about how something happened to releasing it back just into energy and love. That's more of a Piscean, the release of form, thought forms, ideas of how something worked out or didn't work out. We release that back to formlessness. We do that form into formlessness on the Pisces side. On the Virgo side, it's tending, caring, and taking an honest look. Virgos can be brutally honest because we just name, I say we, because my North Node's in Virgo, I just name a spade a spade. It's, why not? If we're going to look at the harvest and see what we need to sort, we don't want to have delusion about a harvest. We just want to know what's there and how to take care of it. So right now, on this blue moon in Virgo, take radical, honest look at your life, how you're tending, first and foremost, to this awesome mechanism we got called a human body, a human heart, a human brain. How are you taking care of it? How and in what ways in this season, this shift into autumn in the Northern Hemisphere, I'm curious about how this is for you all in the Southern Hemisphere. As we shift in the Northern Hemisphere into autumn and cozying in, take an honest look. How are you caring for yourself? Is it sufficient? In what ways can you shift your care to have a more of a really solid container of care for your own body? One, your kids, your spouse, your family. It's how do I care for my bubbles, my bubble of community, me, my peeps, my animals, the land in which I've been given to steward right now, my business, that places of service. How am I caring? And what needs to shift in how I care so it can be more thorough and more substantiated in the next season. We have a combination today, and we have for the last, really, it's been a year or 7 months, 8 months of this nodal, the North Node. Sometimes I get lost in numbers, so excuse me with that. There's total precision in astrology. My mind needs notes to remember the precision. I really feel out the themes. But the nodes are in the one sign, one zodiac theme, the nodes of the moon, for a year and a half. So it started at the beginning of this year and it goes into the next summer. The North Node in Pisces, South Node in Virgo. So this is an important year and a half to really look at what soul karmic themes that we're ready to release in a myriad of ways, the way I suggested or another, and then how we're tending, how we're taking care of ourselves and everything that we care for in our world. And that's a power move right now. Of course, as always, it's always a power move to clear karmic patterns and to tend to what we care for. Yet right now, the blue moon in Virgo on autumn equinox, it's exceptionally highlighted. So how do you tend for you and who you care for? How do you tend for the land that you're in, your community? And how are you continually observing through self-observation and gentle feedback from your community? How are you observing which themes are ready for release in your life? That's what I suggest looking at this week. So it's tending, magic making, and liberation all together. As always, please feel free to reach out. I still have a limited amount of free half-hour consultations each week, so just shoot me an email. Anything else? I'm just thankful. Oh yeah, I do have more material coming out. I'm going to do essential somatics and tree hugging series and membership platforms. So those will be in the next season. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mwah. Thank you for being a part of our community here at Our Waking Dream. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Fill my cup and let it overflow. Let it overflow with love.